Hey everybody, Barbara Evers here. I am here to celebrate that today is launch day for book two, The Watchers in Exile, which is part of the Watchers of Moniah trilogy. So here is the cover of the first book in the series, The Watchers of Moniah, and the cover of the book that came out today, The Watchers in Exile. Here it is. These covers are beautiful covers. I'm so excited about them. And special thanks goes to Jake Clark of J. Caleb Design for designing such beautiful covers for these books. What I wanted to do today is, first of all, just tell you that book two is out and let you know they're both available on Amazon. And I thought I would read a little bit to you from book two. This part of book two comes to you. It's part of chapter one, but it's a little ways into chapter one. So, what you need to know is Adana is fleeing. Her caravan that was taking her back to Moniah to be crowned queen of Moniah was attacked in the forest, and she was divided from a large part of her entire guard and soldiers and everything. So she is in a small little valley, fleeing, following the giraffes who fled ahead of her, and excuse me, and she is with Joannu, who is a watcher and part of her watcher guard, and Elaine, who is a surprising addition to her um, ensemble of followers. And those are the only two people with her. And she's, of course, linked to Ambrosia, who is leading them to someplace within the Monian border. So I'm going to pick up. They've stopped just to water the horses and to rest for a moment and find out what's going on. The sensation of being observed crept over Adana, and she turned to find Joannu's gaze upon her. The watcher nodded once, then turned to maintain a careful guard over their surroundings. How strange to go from an entire unit of watchers to protect her to only one. Had the others escaped the battle, or did their bodies lie on the forest floor, returning to the ground? The thoughts made her hands shake. And what of her father? Had he escaped? She could ask Ambrosia. The giraffe would know if Valent, the Regent King's giraffe, had died in response to the ultimate loss, death of the royal bond. She didn't ask, though, and Ambrosia, ever aware of her moods, didn't reveal a thing. Drying her hands on her tunic, Adana approached Joannu. I'll watch while you tend to your needs. Joanna joined Elaine by the water. Laughter between the two women rang in the quiet of the still morning. What could they have to share between them? Adana barely knew Elaine and still hadn't determined whether to trust her or not. She turned her back on them, keeping watch on the horizon. When Joanna appeared at Adana's side, she turned to the soldier. What happened? How were we attacked? Joanna scanned the horizon, then turned back to Adana. It wasn't my watch. I was asleep. Monty woke me and Lady Elaine and told us to get you and the giraffes out of the camp. Monty, her first vision, the woman marked by the Creator to stand at Adana's side as she ruled. Where was she? Adana thought about those first confusing moments after Elaine woke her. They had come upon a clearing where two men fought each other. Both men wore Elwarian uniforms. She had drawn an arrow, but hesitated, unsure who was the ally and who was not. Who attacked us? Joanna's face remained in a watcher's stoic mask as she answered. They attacked from several points around and within the camp. Elwarian soldiers mostly. I recognized several from one of our right flanking troops. When Adana left Elwar to return to Moniah, everyone knew of Malagon's attacks against the neighboring kingdoms of Belwyn and Talisha. The traitor, once exiled by her mother, was still alive and renewing its attempts to overtake the four kingdoms. Or it might be his supporters rebelling now that Adana would take the seat of authority. For this reason, she had ridden out of Elwar in the center of a vast force of Monian watchers and first soldiers, as well as Elwarian military. Prince Kiffin led one of the left rear flanks, but when they reached the dense forest, the surrounding troops could not stay as close as before. It made sense to strike her there. Adana swallowed and looked back up the hill. Had Kiffin's own men joined the traitor's forces? Bile rose in her throat, the taste bitter and hot. She leaned toward Joanna, fighting down anger, and asked the one question plaguing her. Why would Elwarian troops attack us? Malagon had struck at her in the forest before, 3 years earlier, when she traveled to Elwar after her mother's death. That day, he used a solitary archer. This time he struck from within, using her ally soldiers in his treachery. Who could she trust? Joanna glanced behind Adana and she turned to see Elaine approaching them, looking disheveled in her proper lady's dress. My lady, Elaine said, they kept shouting, long live Queen Quilla. Adana shivered at the words. If Quilla claimed the throne, where was Kiffin's father? King Danel? Joanna took a deep breath, glanced down for a moment, and then met Adana's gaze. Killed? Kiffin, her betrothed, fatherless. Adana swallowed. That made him officially king of Elwar, despite Quilla's actions. His stepmother, never endearing herself to Adana, seized the power that was rightfully Kiffin's. Was she part of Malagon's supporters, or had she chosen this time of unrest to serve her own desires? At least Adana wouldn't have to pretend to like the woman anymore. You're sure of this? Joanna snorted. The attackers kept shouting it as they fought. Danel is dead. Long live Queen Quilla. She swallowed, then added, Death to Kiffin. Adana rushed toward her horse. I need to find Kiffin. Adana, no. She halted at the words. How long had it been since Joanna had called her by her first name? She turned and found the watcher had moved forward and braced to stop her. Elaine glanced between them. She laid a gentle hand on Adana's arm. My lady, your watcher is correct. You cannot go after Kiffin. Of course, they were right. She must move on to Moniah. Moniah needed her to return. Going back could endanger all of them, but going forward would take her farther from Kiffin, wherever he was. Had his camp survived the night, or did they suffer the same fate? So that's a little snippet out of chapter 1 of the Watchers in Exile. Again, it is available today on Amazon, and I will put links in this video, below this video, of how you can find the books and purchase them. I hope if you've not read the Watchers of Moniah, you'll get it and read it and then follow up with the Watchers in Exile. And until then, I will tell you just to never get caught with your eyes closed.